So hello everyone, I hope you are done with your UPSC 2021 prelims examination and you have done pretty well, because I have full faith on your efforts and I know you also have full faith on your efforts. So in today's video we are hereby discussing the polity portions of 2021 prelims examination. So if we discuss or if we talk about the polity questions or the polity part of this particular exam which occurred today or which was taken up today by UPSC, so we can say that the polity portion of this particular exam or UPSC 2021 primarily focused on the conceptual portion. So relatively, if we compare to the portions like environment or any other portion, so we can see that polity was a bit more easier as compared to them. But I will not say it was easiest or it was easier, but I will say relative to the other portions of the exam it was easier. But if we compare the previous year polity papers and the today polity paper, so this polity paper that UPSC took today was a bit more conceptual and required a deeper understanding of the portion. So let us discuss the questions that UPSC asked today. So the first question in this exam was, under the Indian Constitution, concentration of wealth violates right to equality, directive principles of state policy, right to freedom and concept of welfare. So the answer hereby is DPSP. Article 39 of Indian Constitution talks about that the state should make provisions that there should not be concentration of wealth in few hands. So it is basically DPSP in which Constitution talks about that state should take principle, the state should take steps that there should be no concentration of wealth. So the answer hereby was directive principles of state policies. Second question was that, what is the position of right to property in India? So the position of right to property in India has been very much contentious. Now why this question was asked by UPSC? Because in one of the judgment recently last year by the Karnataka High Court, it said about right to privacy being a part of fundamental right, because the case that they were handling dated back to 1970s, early 1970s. But as of now the position has varied. So the condition was that earlier the Indian Constitution talked about right to property as a fundamental right under Article 19 clause 1 subclause F of the Constitution. But by 44th Constitutional Amendment Act, this position was changed and it was moved from Article 19 clause 1 subclause F to Article 300A. So it is part of the Constitution per se. But what does the Constitution say? The question says that legal right available to citizens only, legal right available to any person, fundamental right available to citizens only. तो ये statement तो automatically आपकी गलत होगी, because it is no more a fundamental right. If we talk about the fourth option, it says neither fundamental right nor legal right. It is obviously a legal right because it is talked about in the Constitution. So this statement also goes incorrect. Now the option that is left is option A and option B. Now when we talk about option A says legal right available to citizens only, and option B says legal right available to any person. Now why this B is the answer? Because Article 300 says no person, right? It specifically mentions the idea person, that किसी को भी deny नहीं किया जाएगा right to property. So it mentions the word person, it does not mention the word citizens. It mentions the word persons, it does not mention the word citizens. So on the basis of its being mentioned in the Constitution itself, we can make out that it is the B option which is the correct answer. So hereby the second answer is legal right available to any person. The third question is that what was the exact constitutional status of India on 26th January 1950? So the first option is a democratic republic, the second option is sovereign democratic republic, third is sovereign secular democratic republic, fourth is sovereign socialist secular democratic republic. Now this is a very basic question, and if anyone knows the concept of preamble and the amendment done to the preamble by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976, where the word secular, socialist and integrity was added into the Constitution. So it was added in 1976. Now the question is talking about 1950. So if the question is talking about 1950, so secular socialist, this goes incorrect. Now the option that remains is sovereign democratic republic. So the answer hereby is B, Bombay again. The third question was the constitutional government means. So this was a bit of a question that was based on theory, that if you know the basic idea of constitutional government, that what essentially the constitutional government means, what essentially the idea of constitutionalism means, then this question becomes easy. Now the question is that constitutional government means a representative government of nation with federal structure, a government whose head enjoys nominal powers, a government whose head enjoys real powers, a government limited by the terms of constitution. So the answer is D. The reason why answer is D is basically that if we talk about the entire idea of constitutional government, so the entire idea of constitutional government can be summarized under one heading, that the constitutional government means the understanding of limited government. The constitutional government means understanding of limited government, and limited how? Limited by the constitution, and as per the Indian constitution it is limited and the people enjoy the power. So the government cannot be arbitrary, right? If there is no constitution, then the government will be arbitrary, वो कुछ भी करेगी, right? It will do whatever it want, कि आज तुम्हें right देना, कल तुम्हें right नहीं देना, आज तुमसे बात करनी, कल तुमसे बात नहीं करनी, that is arbitrariness. But as of now the Indian government cannot do this, because we are, or the government of India is bound by the constitution. So when the government of India is bound by the constitution, so it will be following the meanings or the methods mentioned in the constitution, that is the government limited by the terms of constitution, that is D, Delhi. Next question is, consider the statements with respect to Bharat Ratna and Padma awards. Bharat Ratna and Padma awards. Now Bharat Ratna and Padma awards are titles under Article 18(1) of the Constitution. Answer is no. Article 18(1) of the Constitution talks about the abolition of titles, but it nowhere talks about this understanding that it is mentioned under Article 18 clause 1 of the Constitution. The second is, Padma awards which were instituted in the year 1954 were suspended only once. Definitely it was instituted in 1954, but were it suspended only once? The answer is no. It has been suspended twice, so the answer becomes no. The third question is, the number of Bharat Ratna awards is restricted to a maximum of 5 in a particular year. No, it has been restricted to maximum 3. So the answer is 1, 2, 3, because the question asks not correct. The question asks not correct. Right. So this question generally, or these kinds of questions generally UPSC does not ask, but UPSC has asked this question this time because it was in recently news. The government of India, the Honorable President of India gave away the Bharat Ratna and the Padma awards. So this was in news. Now if you know this question, so you know that this portion you know, right? So automatically one statement you know. The second statement of it being suspended once, right? It was in news, so you must have read, when you open the Google, so you will find an article, recent article by one of the leading newspapers, that will tell you about the history of Padma awards, right? इंडियन एक्सप्रेस के एक्सप्लेन्ड पेज में भी इसको कंप्लीटली एक्सप्लेन करा हुआ था, तो वहां पे ये सारी चीजें दे रखी थी इंडियन एक्सप्रेस में. Next question is with reference to India. Consider the following statements. Judicial custody means an accused is in the custody of the concerned magistrate and such accused is locked up in police station, not in jail. No. Sir, judicial custody पुलिस स्टेशन से कोई लेना देना नहीं है. तो पहली स्टेटमेंट तो इसी बेसिस के ऊपर गलत हो गई कि जुडिशियल कस्टडी और पुलिस कस्टडी का कोई लेना देना नहीं है. दूसरी चीज आगे, ड्यूरिंग जुडिशियल कस्टडी द पुलिस ऑफिसर इन चार्ज ऑफ द केस इज नॉट अलाउड टू इंटेरोगेट द सस्पेक्ट विदाउट द अप्रूवल ऑफ द कोर्ट. बिल्कुल. व्हाई ही इज नॉट अलाउड टू इंटेरोगेट? बिकॉज इट इज नॉट द पुलिस कस्टडी, इट इज रादर द जुडिशियल कस्टडी. सो द एवरी एक्शन दैट हैज टू बी टेकन ऑन द इंडिविजुअल हैज टू बी प्री अप्रूव्ड बाय द कोर्ट. सो इफ, जैसे भी आर्यन खान का केस आया था, द एनसीबी केस, सो द Aryan Khan and all other accused were sent to judicial custody. So in that judicial custody, if anything has to be done, that interrogation or anything has to be done, so it shall be done only and only after they will be approved, or the action will be approved by the court. So the answer is 2. Next question is, with reference to India, consider the following statements. When a prisoner makes out a sufficient case, parole cannot be denied to such person because it becomes a matter of his or her own right. And the second statement that is discussed here, is the understanding with respect to the parole, that state governments have their own prisoners released on parole. So this was a very different kind of question that UPSC generally does not ask, right? So parole base के ऊपर क्वेश्चंस UPSC ने हमेशा से कम ही पूछे हैं, पर आज उन्होंने पैरोल का ऊपर भी सवाल पूछा, राइट? सो पहली स्टेटमेंट क्यों गलत होगी? क्योंकि सुप्रीम कोर्ट के बॉम्बे हाई कोर्ट के एग्जैक्ट जजमेंट है, जिसमें कांतिलाल नंदा जायसवाल जजमेंट है, जिसमें उन्होंने साफ स्पष्ट भाषा में कहा रखा है दैट पैरोल इज नॉट अ राइट, राइट? सुप्रीम कोर्ट की भी जजमेंट्स हैं जिनमें सुप्रीम कोर्ट से भी बात कर रहे हैं कि पैरोल इज नॉट अ मैटर ऑफ राइट, बट इफ अ प्रॉपर आर्ग्यूमेंट इज मेड, then it cannot be denied, right? So that first statement is wrong and the second statement is correct, because जो आपके स्टेट के लॉज होते हैं, राइट, द स्टेट ऑल्सो हैज द पावर टू फ्रेम लॉस. सो द जो स्टेट के लॉज होते हैं, उन स्टेट लॉज के अंडर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स के पास पावर है अपने अपने पेरोल रूल्स बनाने के लिए. जैसे पंजाब ने अपने बनाए हुए हैं, राजस्थान ने अपने बनाए हुए हैं, छत्तीसगढ़ ने अपने रूल्स बनाए हुए हैं, तो दे हैव द फुल राइट टू मेक दोस लॉस. द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज, at the national level, which ministry is the nodal agency to ensure effective implementation of scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006? अब सर देखो, फॉरेस्ट राइट्स के ऊपर सवाल आने के चांस क्यों थे? क्योंकि बहुत ज्यादा न्यूज में भी रहता है फॉरेस्ट राइट्स एक्ट, राइट? तो उसके ऊपर उन्होंने सवाल पूछा और बड़ा आसान सवाल पूछा कि ये कौन है. अब मैक्सिमम पीपल थिंक दैट ओ इट इज फॉरेस्ट, सो इट विल बी एनवायरमेंट फॉरेस्ट एंड क्लाइमेट चेंज मिनिस्ट्री. बट they are not specifically asking about the forest, but they are asking about the forest dwellers. तो अब यहां से एक इंटेलिजेंट गेस लगाया जा सकता था अगर किसी को नहीं पता था that it will be Ministry of Tribal Affairs. So the answer is D, Delhi. Next is, अब ये बड़ा conceptual question था. This was a very conceptual question and the question says a legislation which confers on the executive or administrative authority an unguided and uncontrolled discretionary power in the matter of application of law violates which one of the following articles of the Constitution of India? Now first let us look at the options. Option 44 is UCC, तो ये incorrect हो गया. Option 28 is talking about the educational institutions and the religious mandates, तो ये भी गलत हो गया. अब ऑप्शन बचा दो, 14 and 32. Now the general tendency amongst the aspirants will be that it will be 32 because it talks about the implicit right given to the judiciary to issue writs, or the explicit right given to the judiciary to issue writs in the case of violation of fundamental rights. But this question does not specifically ask about fundamental rights. This question is in a much broader sense where it says that if an executive or administrative authority formulates a provision in which there is a violation of the principles, then what should be done? Then the answer becomes Article 14 of the Indian Constitution, जहां पे right to equality की बात हो रही है, right? यहां पे इसमें right to equality की बात हो रही है, equal protection of law, equality before law, इन सारी चीजों की बात हो रही है. तो आंसर जो आपका बनता है, आंसर बनता है Article 14 of the Indian Constitution. The next question is, which one of the following in Indian polity is an essential feature that indicates it is a federal character? ठीक है, सिंपल सा फेडरल कैरेक्टर के ऊपर सवाल पूछा है कि इसमें से कौन सी प्रोविजन ऐसी है जो ये बताती है कि भारत का संविधान फेडरल कैरेक्टर में है. देखो ना, वैसे तो इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज नीदर कंप्लीटली फेडरल नॉर कंप्लीटली यूनिटरी. इट इज काइंड ऑफ एज सेड अ क्वाजी फेडरल, right? But which of these following provisions says or has a federal characteristic? Independence of judiciary is the answer, which was very very easy with respect to this. Independence of judiciary. So the answer is A. The next question is, which one of the following best defines the term state? अब ये इतनी सारी स्टेटमेंट, 4 स्टेटमेंट दी रखी हैं, इसमें आंसर है A, कि community of persons, population occupying a definite territory independent of external control, sovereignty and possessing an organized government. तो जो स्टेट के कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स होते हैं, एसेंशियल फीचर्स होते हैं, राइट? मॉन्टेविडियो कन्वेंशन में भी इनकी बात करी गई थी, पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी में भी इसकी बात करी जाती है कि जो स्टेट के एसेंशियल कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हैं, स्टेट के जो एसेंशियल फीचर्स या एसेंशियल कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स होते हैं, वो 4 होते हैं. देयर आर 4 एसेंशियल फीचर्स ऑफ द स्टेट. 1 इज द पॉपुलेशन, 2nd इज द गवर्नमेंट, third is the territory, and fourth is the sovereignty. These are the four essential characteristics of the state. तो यहां पे ये चारों जो हैं ये सर फुलफिल होते हैं, तो आंसर आपका ऑटोमेटिकली ए बन गया. Next question is, with reference to Indian judiciary, consider the following statements. Any retired judge of the Supreme Court of India can be called back to sit and act as a Supreme Court judge by the Chief Justice of India with the prior permission of the President. Absolutely correct. Retired judges को चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया रिक्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं वापस आने के लिए when the chief justice of India, the Supreme Court requires, there is a very pendency, or there is a pendency of cases in the court. So if required, the retired judges can be asked to come back and Chief Justice of India can call them back, but the prior condition is that permission of President of India is required. The second is, a High Court of India has the power to review its own judgment as the Supreme Court does. The answer is absolutely correct. कि जैसे अगर फॉर एग्जांपल 2000 में किसी हाई कोर्ट ने कोई जजमेंट दी तो 2021 में उसको रिव्यू करके उसको रेक्टिफाई करा जा सकता है, चेंज करा जा सकता है, ये हाई कोर्ट की पावर है. सो द आंसर बिकम्स सी. द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज, विद रेफरेंस टू इंडिया कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग. देयर इज ओनली वन सिटीजनशिप ऑब्वियसली एंड वन डोमिसाइल. अ सिटीजन बाय बर्थ. अब कई लोगों को ये पता नहीं होगा, ये सबको पता होगा, everyone will know this, but people will get confused in this. So you know that there is one citizenship, absolutely. Second question पढ़ो, a citizen by birth only can become the head of state in India. Answer is no. ये तो गलत है, ये तो यूएसए का कॉन्सेप्ट है, इंडिया में बस सिटीजन होना जरूरी है. A foreigner once granted the citizenship cannot be deprived of it under any circumstance. Answer is again no. They can be deprived. So second and third statement are absolutely incorrect. अब आप यहां पे वन डोमिसाइल में श्योर नहीं थे, वन सिटीजनशिप में श्योर थे. ऑप्शंस देखो, 2 गलत, यहां भी 3, यहां भी 3, तो ऑप्शन ऑटोमेटिकली बनती है 1 ओनली. तो अगर आप इसमें श्योर नहीं भी हो तो ऑप्शंस के बेसिस के ऊपर आप एलिमिनेशन मेथड से आंसर निकाल सकते हो. तो आंसर इसका बन गया ए. अगला सवाल आया, अगेन अ पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी बेस्ड क्वेश्चन. Which one of the following factors constitutes the best safeguard of liberty in a liberal democracy? A committed judiciary, absolutely incorrect. Centralization of power, absolutely incorrect. Elected government and separation of power. अब इन दोनों में लोग होते हैं कंफ्यूज कि इलेक्टेड गवर्नमेंट होगा, सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर होगा. अब जो कॉन्सेप्ट दिए गए, जैसे कि जॉन लॉक ने बात करी, मॉन्टेस्क्यू ने बात करी, तो उसमें हम ये देखते हैं सेंट्रलाइजेशन ऑफ पावर जो है वो लिमिटेड होनी चाहिए. तो सेंट्रलाइजेशन ऑफ पावर लिमिटेड होगी और चेक्स आपका एक के पास पावर होगी, दूसरे के पास अलग पावर होगी, तीसरे के पास अलग पावर होगी, सो दैट देयर कैन नॉट बी इन्फ्रिंजमेंट ऑफ पावर इनटू वन एंड अदर. कि एग्जीक्यूटिव शुड नॉट बिकम ऑल पावरफुल, सो देयर विल बी dilution of liberty. Legislature should not become all powerful, there will be dilution of liberty. Judiciary should not all become powerful, there will be dilution of liberty. So the basic answer is separation of power, कि सब अपना अपना काम करें so that liberty is completely ensured. The next question is the comparison of British parliamentary democracy with the Indian parliamentary democracy. So the first statement is, as regards legislation, the British parliament is supreme or sovereign, but in India the power of the parliament to legislate is limited. Absolutely. Britain में parliament is supreme, India में constitution is supreme. इंडिया में कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज सुप्रीम. तो पहली स्टेटमेंट तो आपकी सही होगी. दूसरी में पूछा उसने कि इन इंडिया मैटर्स रिलेटेड टू द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलिटी ऑफ द अमेंडमेंट ऑफ एन एक्ट ऑफ द पार्लियामेंट आर रेफर टू द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बेंच ऑफ द सुप्रीम कोर्ट. सही हो गया, आंसर इज सी. अब ये जनरल स्टेटमेंट सही है. कई बार ऐसा भी होता है कि किसी और बेंच को रेफर कर दिया जाता है, ठीक है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बेंच ने जजमेंट दी, उसका रिव्यू हुआ, हायर बेंच के पास चला गया, उसका फिर रिव्यू हुआ, फिर हायर बेंच के पास चला गया, पर जनरली वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बेंच के पास पहले जाता है. तो उस बेसिस के ऊपर आपका सी स्टेटमेंट भी करेक्ट हो गया. नेक्स्ट इज विद रेफरेंस टू द यूनियन गवर्नमेंट कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट्स. N. Gopalaswamy Iyengar committee suggested that a minister and a secretary be designated solely for the pursuing of subject of administrative reform and promoting it. अब ये देखो, पहले सरकारिया कमीशन या पुंची कमीशन के ऊपर सवाल पूछते थे, आज ये एक स्टेप आगे चले गए, इन्होंने गोपालास्वामी अयंगर कमेटी के बारे में सवाल पूछ लिया. अब ये स्टेटमेंट गलत क्यों है? क्योंकि ये फर्स्ट ARC की रिकमेंडेशन है, तो ये स्टेटमेंट गलत होगी. दूसरा सवाल आया आपका, इन 1970 द डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ पर्सोनल, ये सारा लिखा, और यहां पे गलत क्या है कि placed under prime minister. No, prime minister's in charge नहीं, it was cabinet secretary. So the answer is D. अब इनसे पता लगता है कि ऐसे स्टेटमेंट से पता लगता है कि there is no as such disparity between the prelims and the mains preparation done by UPSC. कि हम जनरली ये गवर्नेंस में पढ़ते हैं, हम पॉलिटी में नहीं पढ़ते हैं, हम गवर्नेंस में पढ़ते हैं, पर यूपीएससी आपके ओवरऑल टेस्ट कर रहा है और पूछ रहा है कि क्या जो गवर्नेंस में पढ़ा वो भी प्रीलिम्स में नहीं आ सकता? बिल्कुल आ सकता है. सो दिस इज द एग्जांपल. Next is right to privacy. Very, very easy. Answer is Article 21. Very, very easy question. Article 21 case, Puttaswamy case. Next is, this was with respect to the elections. Now the question says that in India there is no law restricting the candidates from contesting in one Lok Sabha election from 3 constituencies. There is definitely a law, section 33(7) of राइट रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ पीपल्स एक्ट 1951. बिल्कुल लॉ है. तो इस तरह से ये आपका एलिमिनेट हो गया कि ये क्वेश्चन स्टेटमेंट गलत होगी. अब दूसरी स्टेटमेंट है, ये काफी फैक्चुअल स्टेटमेंट है, नहीं पता होती. हम तीसरी स्टेटमेंट को अगर देखते हैं जिसमें लिखा गया है कि अगर कोई if an individual contests from more than one seats and then he vacates after winning the other seat or winning the same seat as well, so the expenditure will be borne by or beared by the party. But the answer is no. It will not be borne by the party. The state will bear it. The election commission will bear it. So ये भी स्टेटमेंट गलत होगी. अब ताऊ देवीलाल कितनी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी से लड़े ये हमें नहीं पता होता. हम थोड़ी देखेंगे कौन सा आदमी कौन सी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी से कितनी बार लड़ रहा है. सो अगर आपको पहली स्टेटमेंट का पता है, तीसरी स्टेटमेंट का पता, जो कि सबको पता होता है, हम क्लासेस में भी डिस्कस करते हैं, तो विच ऑफ द स्टेटमेंट इज करेक्ट? ये भी गलत हो गया, ये दोनों भी गलत हो गए, तो ऑप्शन ही बी बचता है. एलिमिनेशन से ये भी आपका सॉल्व होता है. तो ये थे 18 क्वेश्चन आपके प्रीलिम्स के पॉलिटी के. अब हम देखते हैं जो 4 मिसलेनियस क्वेश्चन आए थे जो यूपीएससी ने इस बार स्पोर्ट्स से भी पूछ लिए, उन चारों को हम देखते हैं. पहला क्वेश्चन था द लॉरेंस अवार्ड स्पोर्ट्स विच इंस्टीट्यूट इन 2000. अमेरिकन गोल्फर टाइगर वुड वाज द फर्स्ट विनर ऑफ दिस अवार्ड. एब्सोल्युटली. द अवार्ड हैज मोस्ट फार रिसीव्ड फार्मूला 1 प्लेयर्स. नहीं, 2 ही बार मिला है. राइट. रॉजर फेडरर बिल्कुल सही, 5 बार मिला है. तो आंसर हो गया सी. अब इसके ऊपर हम कोई चर्चा नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि किसी को ये उम्मीद नहीं थी ये कहां से क्वेश्चन आया, क्यों क्वेश्चन आया, किसी को कोई आइडिया नहीं था. पर यूपीएससी ने स्पोर्ट्स के ऊपर बहुत सालों बाद सवाल पूछे हैं. दूसरा सवाल फिर यूपीएससी ने स्पोर्ट्स के ऊपर पूछा जो कि आया आपका समर ओलंपिक्स से, जो अभी हुआ, जिसमें इंडिया ने बहुत बेहतरीन प्रदर्शन करा. जिसमें सवाल आया, द क्वेश्चन वाज द ऑफिशियल मोटो दैट a new world. No, the official motto was not the new world, it was united something, right? And sport climbing, surfing, skateboarding, karate, all these were added for the first time in 2016. The motto was united by emotions. And in 2016, International Olympic Commission added 5 new sports which will be first played or which were to be first played in this Olympics, and these were the 5 sports. Right, so the answer is B, Bombay. The next question was with respect to the ICC Test World Championship जो अभी भी हुई थी, इंडिया और न्यूजीलैंड की हुई थी, जिसमें इंडिया हार गया था and न्यूजीलैंड won the Test Championship. So the question is, the finalists were decided by the number of matches won. No, they were not decided by the number of matches won. They were decided by the maximum points. And India and New Zealand had maximum points, so they played the matches. New Zealand was ranked ahead of England because it won more matches. No, England won more matches, but on the basis of points. More matches than England. No, sir, it was on the basis of points. England won more matches, but the points of New Zealand were more as compared to England. So New Zealand went ahead. So the answer is neither 1 nor 2. And the last is, this was with respect to right of citizen, agreed human right, and the human habitat monitors the commitment made by the right to every country in this regard. Yes, definitely it is correlated with every other human right. The second statement was right to city gives every occupant of the city the right to recall public places and public participation in the city. So the answer is incorrect. So the option becomes A, that is 1 only. So this was all with respect to the polity and the miscellaneous questions. So I hope you attempted right questions, and those who are preparing for the next time, so don't worry. We are there to help you. You continue to focus and continue to work hard. We'll see you next time. Until then, thank you and take care.